Ted Lieu was out there, a congressman who is a known liar, saying that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children and threatening to kill children. So it's just not true. None of that's true. And Trump should sue him, go after him. It's slanderous. But just know that that's the level they're taking this, and it's important to push back and fight back with information. I think the Epstein files have looked very good for Trump. I think that it's very clear to me that the reason why he slow walked some of the release is because it has become quite a big distraction. And a lot of people who I think Trump finds to be decent people are named in the files and didn't necessarily do anything wrong, and certainly didn't do anything that has to do with pedophilia or even, taking bribes or being victimized by some sort of blackmail plot. So a lot of the names come up and then people get on defensive. I think that's why Trump didn't want them out there. Not to say I agree, but I think I understand it now. And one thing for sure that I do know is that Donald Trump looks very good because he said Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's pimp, was evil, and he clearly did not like Epstein, including telling the cops he was such a bad guy. So that's where we're at on that, and we'll do more as things develop. All right. Zohran Mamdani, New York City, hard pivot to the socialist mayor's experiment in New York City. He ran for the mayorship on the promise that he would not raise rent, and now he is going to probably have to raise rent because he cannot get enough funds to do what he wants to do. He's trying to tax the rich more than he's probably going to be able to do. So I got a couple of clips here that I want to break down for you, but let's start with this one, number 5, please, Sean.
There is a reason that we did not include these in our city's attempts to get to 5.4 billion, because these are the rating of reserves that we do not want to pursue. These are the kinds of reserves that what we would rather do is ensure that they remain as they are so that the city can be on firm financial footing. However, in order to get to this point of closing the gap on both this fiscal year and the next fiscal year, we are forced to raid the rainy day fund, the retiree health benefits trust reserve, and to increase property taxes across these other years.
So we are forced to raise the rainy day fund. We're raiding retirees' accounts, and we're raising property taxes. The guy is just a full-blown socialist. The second he gets in, we're raiding the rainy day funds because we can't afford what? Universal 3K? 3K for illegal aliens? Again, I got a 4-year-old now. She's not been to preschool yet. She's going to start the TK, I think, in August, maybe 4.5. It's the thought that illegal aliens must have their kids as 3-year-olds in government-funded preschool is an idea that is so nuts. Only a guy who's never had a real job could ever come up with this. And they're just smiling and going along with it. Hochul wouldn't give him the money for it, which is why that he needs to raid the rainy day funds. But the key point about the raising the property taxes is that he campaigned flat out he is not going to raise rents. Part of its housing affordability was one of his top campaign issues. How do you propose you're going to raise property taxes and not raise rents? Part of the reason why so many New York City apartment buildings are in such disrepute, in states of disrepair, is because they can't charge enough rents because so many of them are rent controlled. So they can't charge market rates. It means they can't pay maintenance. They can't do the upkeep that's necessary. And you end up having these just horrible places to live. How is it going to do any better when those same landlords who are running pretty low margins in rent controlled areas, when they're now going to have to pay higher taxes to Mamdani so that illegal aliens get more daycare? It's so fun. Sorry, New Yorkers. I absolutely wanted you to vote for that. I did. All right, cut 3, more Mamdani.
This is a conversation about a fiscal crisis. I have long believed in the importance of taxing the rich. I've said so publicly many a time. And I've long believed in the need for the state and the city's relationship to be a fair one. What we are speaking about in this moment, however, is not just that long-standing belief, the long-standing issues that have characterized that relationship, but a generational fiscal crisis of $5.4 billion. And when faced with this crisis, the question is, who should pay these taxes? I believe that it should be the wealthiest New Yorkers, the most profitable corporations. I believe that they can afford to pay a little bit more. We are in the most expensive city in the United States of America. I firmly believe in the need to make this an affordable city.
But here's the problem, is that you already tapped out. They're going to move. We got planes now. People have the ability to work remote. They're going to go to South Carolina, they're going to go to Florida, and they'll come up, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 days a month. And that's what's going to happen. He's going to lose his tax base. And then we're going to watch it. We're going to watch New York go into even a worse place than it is now. With all the trash that was building up, all the dead rats next to the piles of trash. That is going to be the new norm. This is not how you save the city, is to threaten the wealthier people by making them spend more money. Now, I will say there are a lot of loopholes for billionaires in the tax code, and I do feel like whoever figures that out, whoever solves that, is probably going to score some major political points. I do think that's a reality. Perhaps that's a little bit of my populist strain coming through, though if it's up to me, I'm always cutting taxes, always. But I understand that is something that is real and someone could fix it. This is not the guy to fix it. This guy is an activist and an organizer. He is not an economist. He does not understand the economy at all. And all this stuff, he's not even getting anything out of this. He just won. He doesn't need the political points that this statement might get him on a political basis. And all that's going to do is get a lot of the entrepreneurs in New York City start packing their bags, start looking at real estate. I want to see the traffic to Redfin and Zillow for Miami and West Palm Beach while he was making that statement. I bet it spiked in New York City. People thinking, how do we get out of here? So what are the Democrats going to do with a bench like this? We've been playing clips of them seeming increasingly stupid by the minute and increasingly dishonest. I mean, I'm still just stunned that, first of all, you've got Jasmine Crockett, who used to speak like a normal person and now speaks hood. And then you have James Tallarico, who is literally carrying the Lord's name in vain. He walks around acting like he's a Christian. And then he uses his Christian faith to justify abortion. And then he lies about why the FCC doesn't want him to be on Colbert's show, saying that it's because of Trump. No, it's because of Jasmine. So he's lying about that to raise money while he carries around, that is the definition of carrying the Lord's name in vain, claiming you speak with the Lord, you walk with the Lord, and then you lie to the people to make money. That's deeply sinful behavior. So what are they going to do? They're going to have to come up with some alternatives. Now, the first place people are thinking, can they go to Andy Beshear, a red state governor who is a blue person or a Democrat? He's got a book coming out. I think it's going to flop. He's very lame in interviews. He's not charismatic. My top idea is they go for a CEO type. They go for someone who's run a business successfully, who is more of a moderate, who has a proven track record of success, probably has enough money where they can at least feel personally insulated from any of the attacks they're going to get. Maybe you recruit someone like that to come in, a Howard Schultz type from Starbucks, a Bob Iger from Disney, even though he's got a mixed track record. Someone like that. You get someone like that off the bench. But could it be someone else? Could it be a broadcaster, perhaps? Maybe even Stephen A. Smith, the sports broadcaster, professional loudmouth, very compelling guy. Let's play cut 11, please, guys.
Does you worry about racism if he ran for president?
No. I know it exists. I know that you can't escape it, but I do not believe it is as prevalent as some on the left would like us to believe. I do believe a vast majority of Americans judge you on the content of your individual character rather than the color of your skin. I think a lot of people in America, especially in this day and age, now more so than ever before, it's not about race. It's about the fact that they don't give a damn about it because they got their own problems. That's entirely different than believing they are superior to you and they want to hold you back from ascending. That's not what's going on to the degree that it was decades ago.
So I don't want to dismiss this because this is a much better answer than you would get from every single elected Democrat in this country. First of all, super lame question by Bob Costa at CBS, who I know was a conservative in a former life. He used to work at National Review. Now is just regular establishment media guy. I don't know where we lost him. But super lame question, but terrific answer. You would never gotten that answer from Megan Whitmer or AOC, even an Andy Beshear type. They would have said, well, yeah, of course, racism is always with us. No, the correct answer is this is not a particularly racist country. And people do really want you to succeed regardless of your background. And of course, there's some levels of racism, but I'll tell you, it's not really against blacks right now. The anti-Semitism stuff is way more scary. So that's the truth about this country. But does any Democrat have the cojones to say that? Do they have the stones to go out there and say, actually, I don't think this is a particularly racist country, and we need to work on stuff like, I don't know, making things more affordable, making sure we're not getting any endless wars, making sure we're insulated for the new high-tech revolution, that we're not going to fall behind China, etc. That's the approach. And so why does this sportscaster give a better answer? So I actually am rooting for two great political parties in this country. It's very unrealistic. I think we're decades away from it. But could we see someone come out of left field and perhaps at least remind people that not everyone who doesn't like Donald Trump is completely insane? So do I think Stephen A. Smith runs? I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing that was really interesting is I remember driving around Los Angeles listening to talk radio. It's over a decade ago. And he was a big name already in the sports world. And he just called in to Mark Levin's radio show and just talked to Mark Levin for like a half an hour on the call line. And this is a guy who broadcasts all day talking about sports, and he calls in, they had a thoughtful conversation. And obviously I don't agree with most stuff he says, but he finds a lot of common ground and seems genuinely interested in people who don't find common ground. And that's one thing that's very fun in the sports world, is that you see robust debate on their broadcasts, which you don't see a lot in a lot of talk radio podcast culture politically. The right is not that great about it either, but the Democrats are horrible about it, as we've seen. And I think that's why a lot of people really enjoy some of, what Scott Jennings does on CNN, because they're debates. People actually debate. And debate's good. But it's very hard to debate when people keep calling you fascists and Nazis. And they keep saying you're the divisive one when they just say that you're a racist or you're a fascist, you're a Nazi, simply for having normative American viewpoints. That you're some sort of a totalitarian because you like the president who won every single swing state, won the popular vote, and was a former Democrat for much of his life. So all this stuff compels me. I would like to see a more robust, wide debate and to pull the Democrats back from true insanity, because I do have a lot of fear that we're just at the beginning, that things could get worse when Democrats get power. Could be more censorship, more debanking, more deplatforming, more government, more bureaucracy, more deep state. And that really is what I fear in this country. And if there's anyone who could perhaps pull that party away from that, that's a positive. So I guess I'm rooting for it now, all of a sudden.